Welcome to Roofing Road Trips, the podcast that takes you on a thrilling journey across the world of roofing. From fascinating interviews with roofing experts to on-the-road adventures, we'll uncover the stories, innovations, and challenges that shape the rooftops over our heads. So fasten your seatbelts and join us as we embark on this exciting roofing road trip.
Hello and welcome to another Roofing Road Trips from Roofers Coffee Shop. My name is Heidi Ellsworth and we're here to talk about some of the coolest new alternative products out there in roofing. And I mean, these are cool. You're going to see all kinds of different shapes, styles, and colors. And we're so excited to be talking to Thomas Knuckey with Brava Roof Tile about all the innovative synthetic roofing solutions that we're seeing in today's market. So, Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Heidi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I tell you what, these are some of my favorite topics. I love to talk about it, new innovative products, but really with Brava, not too new. You've been around for a little while. So let's start out with an introduction. If you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Brava, and then we'll get into the heat of it.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, my name is Thomas Knuckey. I am the Director of Product Management at Brava Roof Tile. Essentially what that means is I get the privilege to interact with our customers and have those conversations to really try to find out what problems they're solving, what issues they're seeing in the field, what they need from us to be a part of the solution. You know, I take those insights back and I get to work collaboratively with our team of talented R&D, manufacturing, sales, and engineering to really deliver a product to our customers that solves the problems they're looking for and is true to who we are here at Brava.
That is so cool. What a fun job. You really get it. You get to work with the contractors and see all these great new products come out. So let's talk just a little bit up front, just kind of set the stage about the history of synthetic roofing solutions. And I really want to talk that evolution of Brava.
Yeah, synthetic roofing solutions, and I think more in general, synthetic in the construction industry has really gained a lot of momentum these last few years. But I think you can see it, start to pop up like the late 90s, right? Early 2000s. And, Brava's been around since 2008. So to your point, not too new nowadays. Historically in the industry, I think there's been this perception of synthetic product. Like if it's synthetic, then maybe that means it's fake, or maybe it doesn't perform well as the natural materials that you typically see on roofing. But Brava was really founded to solve those problems and provide a solution in the synthetic space to not only provide that aesthetic and really match what your expectation is of a traditional material roof, but do that while also providing an increase in performance as well. And if you look at the evolution of Brava, I think that we're constantly evolving. We're constantly listening to our customers to improve on our product, to continue to drive that narrative of a synthetic roofing solution that can be best in class, both aesthetically and by performance.
Yeah, that's the thing, is really understanding the technology behind it and that it is such a great roof covering. I mean, let's just put it out there. It's a great product for the roof. And so when you're kind of looking at that, what are some of the significant aesthetic values and just overall kind of talk to us a little bit about the Brava tiles?
Yeah, Brava tiles are really exciting. And being involved in product myself, this is like an awesome podcast to have this conversation on. I think from an aesthetic standpoint, I would be remiss if I didn't say that's core to who we are. The first sentence I think in our bio on our website is, we manufacture premium synthetic products that combine that look of a traditional split cedar shake or quarried slate or concrete tile and provide that performance increase as well. As I look through, I think there's three things that really provide that aesthetic differentiator that we like to focus on. The first of them is like how we actually design the product. So our roof tile is not only inspired by traditional materials, it's actually made from it. And so we will take real split cedar shake and real quarried slate and sort through them to pick out what our tiles will be. once we have those tiles, we make our compression molds from those. And so what that provides is, the ridges and the variation in grain or edge texture or, chisel marks in a slate. Those slight imperfections that you see in the field show up in this really vibrant way in our product. The second, I think, is, it doesn't stop with the tile itself, but the accessories that are offered, whether it's a solid accessory to make sure you don't see a cut mark at the rake or in a valley, or those other ridge details that you need to really create that full roofing solution. And then lastly, like our coloring process and how we integrate a variegated color into the tile, all contribute to this realistic final product that we really pride ourselves in and pay a lot of attention to detail to.
Yeah, talk just a little bit. You mentioned the molds, and I've been involved. I was involved in working with synthetic roofing companies during my career, and it is so to me it's so interesting on how they're made, and so really creating that mold from the best, picking out the cedar, the tile, the Spanish tile, whatever the slate, and really picking those out and then creating those molds. Can you give high level how that works, how the product is manufactured?
Yeah, I was actually able to be a part of this recent round that we did where we, order in real split shake and we go through these bundles to say, what is up to our standard and what is not. And so you're picking out these patterns that you then create a compression mold from. So you're able to cast that to really get every detail. So rather than, a manufactured tool where you're taking bits and kind of carving away at it, you cast it around that real detail. So it is a direct replica when you go to do that tooling. The manufacturing process with that then is compression, right? So we take a charge of plastic and, use a lot of pressure to essentially clamp down and make that tile from our material. And so with that, you have these tools, right? These molds that you're developing, but if you don't have an investment in that capability and you don't expand out how many molds you have, sometimes those tiles would be repeated on a roof. So at Brava, we actually have dozens and dozens of images of shake and slate, so that when you get both the color variation and the variation in the images from our tile, no two tiles on a roof are going to look the same, which really provides and lends to that realistic aesthetic.
It really does. That's important for that realisticness.
Yeah, it helps address that concern of, looking fake, right? Is adding those extra details.
Yeah. That's so cool. Okay, so when you're kind of looking at, traditional roofing products, and then you compare Brava's cedar shake, slate, and the Spanish tile roofing products, when you kind of compare them both in performance, how they look, profile, and color, kind of walk us through that a little bit, Thomas, on some of those comparisons, to help the contractors out there kind of be able, because this is something you need to explain to the consumers, and that takes you need this knowledge.
Yeah, and that's part of the challenge and part of why I think we're gaining that momentum you hit on, right? Like it's an education of what does this provide you? Why should I go with this synthetic over the traditional materials? We've talked, they look very aesthetically similar, and even to the fact of, if you see a Brava tile at like a trade show or something like that, one of my favorite memories early on in my career here was being at a trade show and having a customer walk by, and they were like, "Whoa, is this shake?" And they pick up a tile, and then you get to have the conversation of, it's a synthetic product. Let's talk about how they're different. Let's talk about the advantages. I would say starting with things that all of Brava's products provide, is they're eco-friendly. So they are made of up to 85% recycled polymers. We take both post-consumer and post-industrial plastic and integrate that into our product, which ultimately diverts that waste from the landfill. And it is, right? It's great to be sustainable and help to contribute to that conversation. And what's important for our customers is you can help contribute to LEED credits too with recycled content. So if you're working on a large project that is trying to get LEED accreditation or credits for the overall project, the sustainability of our product will help contribute to that. It's also recyclable product itself. So after your Brava roof has performed the test of time and it's time to take that next step with a roof, we'll actually take that product back and integrate it back into our process, helping reduce that waste even further down the road. Our products are made in the U.S., which is really important to have our headquarters here in Iowa, and really something that all of our profiles provide, which is not always the case with traditional materials. And then, compared to traditional, I think we are lightweight and durable. So, synthetic doesn't mean that there's a drop in performance. In some cases, you actually get an increase. All of our profiles are Class 4 impact rated. They can contribute to a Class A fire system, and they perform well in the wind. And you can, if you're in a coastal region that has a higher expectation or code needed for wind uplift resistance, we have guidance on how you can achieve that through Brava product.
So, as you're looking at this, I think there's a lot of people who will say, I think the lightweight is key, because obviously, if you're talking about slate, there is a huge difference in the weight issues. And I kind of want to go down that path just a little bit, Thomas, because there's a lot of homes, especially on the East Coast, that traditionally were slate, but structurally may not be able to maintain that anymore. How much are you seeing, the Brava tiles really kind of fitting that need structurally for buildings and offering more of an older look, but with newer technology that's lighter, and you don't have to worry about the structural integrity as much?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, if we start with slate, that is one of the largest talking points, I think, of a Brava synthetic product versus, quarried slate. Our product is about 300 pounds per square. And so that comes with multiple advantages. One, when your contractors or your distributors are roof loading this material, it's a lot less work for your crew to have to lug this up and down a ladder or use a lift to get this on the roof. But two, and most importantly, you hit on it, right? If you're doing new construction, this doesn't require the additional support from your roof truss or your walls, and the additional lumber cost and installation to meet those requirements, because it is so lightweight. And then when you look at re-roofing, you can, if you're re-roofing a slate roof, it may be older and need structural repairs that may not be applicable if you're doing something that's lightweight. And if you have, say, an asphalt shingle or something that's not traditional slate, and you're looking for that elevated aesthetic, you can use Brava product on something that would historically be an asphalt roof. So I think that's a really big talking point when you're looking at the slate comparison. And then similar with Spanish too. Spanish tile is concrete, and so it's also very heavy. And there are not as many composite Spanish profiles on the market, but the thing that Brava provides is, again, that lightweight product with those same advantages, alongside things like it's not as brittle per se as maybe a slate or a Spanish when you're assembling it or installing on a roof. There's actually a cool marketing piece that our marketing team has done recently, where a customer tossed a Brava tile up in the air and then hit it with a baseball bat.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it stood the test of time, right? So it just goes to show what that durability can do with composite as well.
Yeah. Well, and when you talk about your recycled polymers, you have a very specific formula that provides that durability, the flexibility, the things that you need for those tiles. Because I think sometimes, and especially contractors, might think of years gone in the past, that there was concerns about being brittle or breaking or hail resistance, all of those kind of things. In today's formulas of what you're doing, talk a little bit about that hail resistance, that ability, the durability compared to when someone's hitting it with a baseball bat, it's not going to break.
Yeah. I think that's part of, going back to the evolution at Brava too, is this is something that we are continually investing in to not be happy with where we're at, but continuing to push the envelope in performance. And that starts with the material we bring in. We have a lab that qualifies all incoming material to make sure they fall within an acceptable range of product properties, and that we won't be using bad quality product from the beginning. And then that testing is actually repeated throughout our process multiple times. So when a tile is ready, finally produced and ready to ship out, we are confident in the chemistry and the performance of that tile because we have done that testing throughout the process and we know what formula it takes to have that final product.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about to go a little bit further with that on extreme weather. I know you have some of the highest uplifts, wind uplifts that there are. Talk a little bit about the performance against extreme weather because you have hurricanes, high winds on the east, we have hail and tornadoes in the Midwest, we have fires in the West. I mean, extreme weather is everywhere. How is Brava really, standing up to those extreme elements?
Yeah, unfortunately, extreme weather can't be avoided. Specifically in the coastal regions like Miami-Dade County or in LA and California, there's many different types of extreme weather that you can encounter. You've got high UV, you've got high wind speeds and fire and hail, just to name a few. How Brava handles that is we develop and test our product to meet the industry standards of these testings. And so we have our CER, which is available on our website with all of our information. But we also have Florida product approval and Miami-Dade NOAs for all three of our profiles. And we're continually pushing the envelope to be a part of things like fortified roof and wildlife or urban interface to continue to drive acceptance and standardization for these extreme weather conditions. Not only can you find that information on our website, but our warranty actually will warranty specifically for wind velocities. So you asked, those high wind speeds. Our warranty covers speeds of 90, 110, and 130 miles an hour, depending on how you install our product. So our product is great by itself, but it does require specific installation instructions depending on what zone or what county you're in. I would say if you're a contractor and you have questions on this, make sure you check out our resources or reach out to our tech services team to help answer those questions on what those installation concerns may be for when you are working in these tough conditions. When you look at things like hail or the extreme cold or the extreme heat, we actually warranty for hail in our warranty, and that's not typical for traditional materials that you can see. And for cold weather, there's kind of two extremes, right? If you're installing in the cold, one, that our product can be installed in the cold. It doesn't get impacted and become more brittle, so you can use a nail gun for cold weather installations. And with plastics, we do expect some expansion and contraction for that material, but that's our keys to success and our installation requirements that we have, help to allow for that expansion and contraction that we expect, and to make sure that your roof will stand the test of time during those conditions.
That's great. That is great. And what about fire? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Let's talk about fire. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of wildfires over the last couple of years, and all of our product is Class A or contributes to a Class A fire rated system. And this is actually really important if you look at our Slate profiles. There's a lot of HOAs in areas of the country that are starting to limit the installation of traditional shake because of the flammability and the maintenance required to keep that up to what it's expected to perform. So our product has Class A fire rating, and it's self-extinguishing. So if it does catch fire, everything burns if it's hot enough. But if it does catch fire, it will help to not proliferate that throughout the roof, and it'll perform well according to that rating, which I think is especially important when looking at things like shake.
Oh yeah. I think it's really because, that's just such a beautiful architectural look, and you want that look of shake. But you also, in some areas it's just, you can't do it anymore because of the fire danger. And so even though there are Class A systems in wood, I want to make sure I mention that. But There is a lot going on across the country. And, that kind of leads me to one of my next questions. I want to talk about color, because color is really one of those things that is so important. But it's interesting when you think about it. I was actually talking to somebody who was looking to put a Brava roof on. And I said, it's very exciting. And I said, and she had traditional cedar shake roof. And I said, think about what color you want it to be forever, because that's going to be different than in a traditional wood product. It's going to change colors. Same thing, copper changes colors, some of these things. But with the what you're doing, you actually can have this color for the whole life of the roof. So talk a little bit about that color and how it really stands the test of time, and that patented ColorCast process that is really kind of makes it different from others out there.
Yeah, our coloring technology is proprietary. Like you mentioned, it's our ColorCast technology. And what that does is takes real mineral pigments. So, we're talking like a carbon black or a red iron, and actually crushes that up into a pigment to get intermixed throughout our tile. So our colorant is throughout the entire tile. If there is damage down the road, it does show up. And so if a piece of hail happens to damage the product, if you get really massive hail, that color actually shows through still, and it makes it a lot less noticeable if that's the case. And the ColorCast technology, taking the real mineral pigments and blending it in at different percentages in our tile, creates color variegation in those tiles. So not only is it standing the test of time, but it creates a random color for each tile. And when those are assembled across a roof, creates a really natural variation. So if you're looking at a traditional shake or a quarried slate, those aren't all going to be the same color either. There's slight variations depending on the aging and the, just naturalization of it. And so our ColorCast technology actually has that variegation in the product itself. With that too, if you're looking to do like a historical re-roof, or you have a cool project with a historic building that you're trying to match something that's aged or weathered, or maybe a different unique color that you're doing, we can do custom colors as well. So we use that same ColorCast technology to do custom colors, and we can take a sample and color match it so that your historic project gets a new roof and keeps that same aesthetic that it's looking for. I think the last thing with yeah, right. I think the last thing with colors is just the cool colors that we can offer customers as well. And so this is really important in places like California, where there's quite a few codes that do require a certain solar reflectance or thermal emittance of your product. And so we have, in each of our profiles, we have options for cool roof colors, which are both Title 24 and Title 31 compliant for your California and your LA counties. And those are, the Cool Roof Council, or CRRC, approves those and does that testing through our colors as well.
And so to be able to have those to have a roof that maybe isn't just white, right? You can have these Title 24, these cool roof colors that are actually colors, but because of the technology and the colors, the color technology is what I'm trying to say, you're able to create cool colors that actually are reflective and are usually up for, bringing your energy costs down.
Yeah, yes, it's not just white. So great point there is, you can get your clay hues, you can get your darker, our colors internally would be like a light Arendelle, are available in cool colors. So your grays and your clay colors, to help with that variety and help with that choice, but still meet the needs of those codes. And then it helps with the efficiency in your home, and really, lowers the impact of what that roof does in those high heat and high temperature environments.
Which we're seeing everywhere right now. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, okay, last thing I want to talk about between traditional and the Brava tile is maintenance. When you think about the maintenance that has to go on a lot of times with especially shake roofs, but also somewhat in tile and slate too. What's the differences in maintenance? And I want to talk a little bit about leaves, needles, moss, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Maintenance is a key differentiator when looking at synthetic versus traditional roofing products. And Brava's synthetic roofing is kind of low maintenance by design. We would suggest an annual check to make sure that there's no damage that's gone unnoticed from a previous storm, or that things are, really performing the way they should since they were installed. And an occasional rinse to clear out debris like sticks or twigs from a neighboring tree or a recent storm, just to keep things looking new, and clear out your gutters to make sure everything's working. Synthetic material doesn't absorb water. It's rot and insect resistant. It's freeze thaw resistant. It resists UV degradation. So there's really a lot of advantages when it comes to maintenance. When looking at synthetic versus shake specifically, which, yes, thank you for pointing out that shake can achieve a Class A system. But an advantage of synthetic here is that it doesn't require the treatments and the cleanings that shake may. So synthetic product, you don't have to apply preservatives or fire retardants to maintain that rot and insect resistance or the Class A rating. With things like synthetic versus slate, slate itself can last a long time, but it can be brittle as well, and so hail or a storm may crack those tiles, and then you actually need pretty specialized repair to make sure that when you're walking on those roofs, you're not further damaging additional tiles or breaking additional slate tiles. And synthetic product you can walk on, and so if you do need to do a repair, it's more easily accessible on a roof. And similar with concrete versus synthetic as well. And so, with maintenance, it really is a product that has these great benefits and doesn't require the yearly maintenance costs, leading to a long-term investment, that you don't have to keep paying for.
Well, really cool. I love the product. And I will say, this is a podcast, so not everybody can see behind you, but you have a beautiful picture of a beautiful home. And I do want to note on there are snow guards and snow retention. And then I know you all do a great job
there
working
is
in conjunction
an
on
extensive
that
list
also,
of
because this product is used a lot
non-Brava
in the
installation
mountain areas.
accessories that we suggest and have integrated into our system. So the snow guards is one of them. The synthetic material, it helps break up the snow so that you don't have large clumps falling off your roof. There's other things like ventilation that we have suggestions on, what solar vents to work with, or maybe you're installing solar panels. So there's a lot of other accessories for your roof that we're constantly looking to grow our recommendations in, and where our tech services team is helping to provide recommendations on what's applicable and what's not within the range of accessories.
Very cool. So I have a question for you, Thomas. Does Brava have any other products that you are manufacturing for the home that maybe is not on the roof?
Yeah, great question. And it's a really cool product I get to work with. So to this point, we've talked Brava roof tile, which is made for steep slope roofing. There is Aspire Pavers by Brava that is designed for low slope roofing as well. And so it's similar to the Brava roof tile in that it's, a synthetic material made to, look like traditional materials on low slope roofing, such as your concrete pavers or your porcelain. But that comes with many of the great advantages that we've talked through for synthetics. Aspire Pavers can either go, on grade and do a patio or a walkway or a driveway, or it can be on a low slope roof. So once you've installed your deck and you've got your TPO laid, you can install our Aspire Pavers on top of that. And how that works is it's a grid system. So you lay a synthetic grid that's a 16 by 16 square out to the footprint of your walkway or your deck. And then we have multiple different sizes of the Aspire Pavers in up to 15 different colors that then once your grid is laid, you get to brick by brick kind of lay these in. And it's a really easy installation, for the Aspire Pavers. It's also synthetic like Brava's other product. We actually did an install in St. Louis recently that diverted over 5,000 truck tires because of the recycled content that is in Aspire Pavers. And so it takes that recycled content and those truck tires, it diverts it from the landfill and repurposes it into a unique, durable, and really aesthetically pleasing product. And so it goes right back into, a product that's useful for the homeowner. It is, crack, scratch, and stain resistant, so carries many durability products. Lightweight, so you don't have to drag it up, to your low slope roof that you're installing, and doesn't need any specialty tooling to cut. And it's just a saw that, goes through the synthetic material itself. So it is another great product where, the application of synthetic materials and the advantages you get of synthetic materials can be applied to traditional installations.
Yeah. And you know what? It's so cool. I've played with it many times at trade shows where you move the tiles around or the pavers around and you get to make all these different kinds of creations and patterns. It is so cool. And one of the things I love about it too is, you put it on the roof and the rain just goes right through it. And so if you have any kind of single ply roof or any kind of roof, actually flat, and then you put those pavers on top of it, you've created this beautiful, beautiful outdoor living space that now can handle rain, snow, wind, all those different things, and create this beautiful thing. I love it. I think it's a cool product.
Yeah, it allows for really good drainage, to your point. And then the colors, there is an installation that was done recently where the contractor actually built an outdoor chessboard out of the different colors and shapes that we had. So the apartment complex they were building, has this awesome weatherproof chessboard outside that they get to enjoy year round.
Yeah. Okay. I'm tempted. I love it. That is so cool. So for the folks out there who want to get their hands on this and see something, I know that you're going to be at an upcoming show at Western Roofing Expo, which we will be at too. And so we'll probably be talking. So please, everyone, sign up for the Western Roofing Show. Go check it, Western Roofing Expo, and stop by our soundstage and talk to us. But then go to the Brava booth and you can see the tiles, you can see the pavers, you can really get your hands on it. And like Thomas said, as you're walking by, you may be fooled. So make sure you know what you're grabbing. How can listeners, what are other ways, Thomas, for them to get in touch with you and to get more information and to really kind of start adding this into their business?
Yeah, I would say first step is check out our website. It has all the great resources that go into detail on everything we talked through today. It's got a lot of inspiration behind photos, so you can really see how that realism is applied to previous installations. And it has all your tech resources for codes and install questions as well. While you're there, I would say request a free sample if you haven't seen it. So if you're a distributor that is looking to help stock or start stocking this product or start selling this product, or a contractor that maybe hasn't installed this yet, or a homeowner that's really interested in a roofing project that they have, request that sample and we will send you one of the three. You can request one of the 3 profiles in any color and we'll send it to you to see for yourself. I would say also, like, to your point, we're going to be at the Western States, so come check out our booth. I'll be there. Stop by and say hi, and let me know you listen to the podcast. And Heidi, you and I will have to connect while we're out there as well.
We will. We'll get you on our soundstage. We'll have a little interview. That'll be great. I do have to say, and we're going to save this for our next podcast, Thomas, but I have to say a family member of mine just used Brava Shake for their siding, for a special part of the siding on the roof too. So that, or on the building. So that's a whole nother discussion we can talk about later on as people are using this for the whole exterior of the home. So for everyone out there, thank you so much. Please check out the Brava directory on Roofers Coffee Shop. You can get all this information. You can get to their website. You can, there's all kinds of fun things, great pictures, very cool. So please check it out. Thomas, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Heidi.
Really fun conversation. I appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. Please check out all of our podcasts under the RLW navigation of any of the websites. And be sure to also, on your favorite podcast channel, subscribe and set those notifications so you don't miss a single episode. We'll be seeing you next time on Roofing Road Trips.
If you've enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us on every roofing adventure. Make sure to visit rooferscoffeeshop.com to learn more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next roofing road trip.